which are quite different from what we feel by looking at the word. So now let us begin the lesson. These are few words from the poem. First word, diverse. Just like somewhere on the road, you may have seen there are sometimes two directions. One road moving towards two different roads. Point 2, yellow wood. It means a forest with decomposing leaves. Point 3, undergrowth. It is a dense growth of plants and bushes. It means forest. Point 4, fair. It means as good as the other one. Point 5, claim. Means better option. Point 6, means unused. Point 7, something which had not been used. Point 8, trodden, means walked over. Point 9, sigh. It means deep breath. Point 10, hence, here in the future. Point 11, on foot, means walking. Point 12, ages and ages, means years to come. Let us take a break here.
प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो,
संसाधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम पढ़े और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने।
Now let us begin the poem. The name of the poem is, you can see on screen, it is The Road Not Taken. It is a poem. It begins with few questions. You must have had to make choices sometimes at different point of time in your life. So the question is, did you ever feel unsure of your choices? Was it because you didn't know what your choice would lead you to? So generally it happens that we make any choice without giving it a thought. So let us understand this poem and understand this thought. Let us begin this. This poem is written by Robert Frost. You can see him on screen. He is a person who has written this poem, The Road Not Taken. This is the poem. This poem is his own imagination. The name of the poem, The Road Not Taken. In this poem, he has expressed his views in detail. So now let us begin the lesson. The poet in the poem, The Road Not Taken, is at crossroads, where at that place there are two roads and he has to choose one out of the two different sides. So read the poem aloud yourself and enjoy this rhythm. And thank you for watching. You can read the poem silently yourself as well. So there are two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. So this poet, while traveling on foot in the wood, he reaches a junction where he found two roads are diverging. And at that place, immediately he realizes that as a traveler, traveling both the road is really impossible. And here, two roads are meant two ways of life. The woods are yellow, which means that it probably falls and the leaves are turning yellow. We all know that in our country there is a season when all the leaves of the trees become yellow in color. And let us understand this further. The poet says that as it is impossible to travel both the roads, so the poet stands there trying to choose which path he is going to take. However, the poet wants to go down both paths and is thinking about it as it is really hard. I cannot go on both the path together. So what he is doing? He is staring down one road and trying to see where it goes. And the small plants and greenery of the wood block his view. These are some more lines. Let us understand these lines of the poem in further slides. The phrase could mean something like, as just as it is fair. As in proper, righteous and equal. But this doesn't quite apply to a road. Then the poet decided to check the other path because he found the other road to be less traveled and grassy one. Wanted beer? Is an example of personification. These are some more lines from the poem. Let us understand these lines in further slides. After traveling through the road, poet found that both the roads are equally traveled. And first, he found the first road to be the most traveled one. But then he says that both the roads to be equally traveled, because in the poem, the lines, the as for that refers to the path being less worn, means they are less traveled or less used. These are the next lines from the poem. Let us understand those meaning of those lines. Here again the poet found both the paths looking same. Perhaps he goes in the flashback. It was tough for him to recognize the real road, as in the morning he was the first person to walk on the road. He couldn't decide the right path, as no step had smashed the leaves on the road to allow him to go for the right one. These lines are an example of imagery. These are further next lines of the poem. Let us understand these lines in further slides. The poet here saves the first road for another day. He knows how way leads to another and then another, until you end up very far from where you started. Then in the third, he doesn't think he will ever be able to come back and take the other path. As much as he wishes he could. This is another line of the poem. Let us understand. This line is the example of the poet's failure in choosing the right path. The word sigh reflects that he is disappointed with the decision. These are some next further lines. These are further lines. Let us understand them. he accepts the fact that he is a failure in taking the right decision. Ages and Ages is an example of alteration. Perhaps he chose the path which was less traveled one. This is next further line of the poem. Let us understand it. The poet took the path that no one else did. And that is what has made the difference in his life, that made him successful. However, a difference could mean success or utter failure. Till now we have understood the poem. Now, here is a question. You are about to complete school and you now have to decide on a career and accordingly the subjects you have to take in college. So, how would you take this decision? Here are few suggestions you might like to consider. How would you decide? How would you take decision? Let me give you some advice. You have to choose accordingly. So you yourself go through yourself, self-analyze and think. The first option can be, you can choose any subject of your own interest. Like mathematics if you choose, painting if you choose, if you like dancing, if you like stitching, if you know and you are willing to take sign language, in whatever subject you are interested. So you should take that one. You should not listen to others, but you should think about your own interest. The second point explains that your aptitude is important. Or we can say that your inside skill, which is natural in your habits, your knowledge, your understanding, something which is your aptitude. So that can be chosen. The third point explains that also your financial position help you choose your career. So that awareness is also important. Accordingly, you can choose the subject. You can do a job or what you want to do next. You can decide according to your decision by looking at your own financial position. You can decide what you want to do. You want to study further, you want to do something, or you want to do a job. Fourth point explains that your responsibilities at home, it also helps you decide what you need to do in your next year or upcoming year. If you have more responsibilities, then you need to be responsible towards them. And if you are free, then you can choose any career, or you can take decision according to your situation. So this is important, that you plan according to your responsibilities at home. You need to discuss your situation with your near and dear ones, and accordingly you should behave. Fifth point explains that advice of the teacher is also important. You should listen to your teacher. If the teacher is saying something, telling you about your future, about your job, about your future prospects, then you also must listen to your teacher. Point 6 explains that you can also consult a career counselor for having a support if you have any confusion which career is good for you, or what are the options available in the market, what are your own capabilities. So consulting a career counselor will help you take decision. Point 7 explains that surfing the internet is also helpful. You can be aware about the available options. You can have you can have a look at the different options available, and accordingly you can choose. Eighth point explains that also you can ask any of your friend or any of your senior person who can guide you. That person may be any friend, any senior with whom you can discuss your matter. So all these things are important, and after giving a good thought, you can decide. Let us take a break here.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने,
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने,
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो,
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो,
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मैं
दीपक स्वयं बने हम, अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का जयकार खुला सबकी बातें।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने हम, अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम, अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने हम,
So far, we have discussed the poem and understood the poem well. Now, there are some questions from the same poem. There are answers and questions both. From the same poem, from the same lesson. There are questions and answers both available. The question number 1. Do you think it was easy for the poet to choose between the two roads? What do you think? Look at the answer. The answer is no, it was not easy. It was really difficult for the poet. Question 2. Why does the poet call the wood yellow wood? What is the reason? Look at the answer. Because it was autumn. This is the time when leaves become yellow and they fall from trees. So that is why the poet has called it as yellow wood. Question 3. Who is the traveler and why does he feel sorry? Let us look at the answer. The traveler is the poet and he feels sorry because he cannot travel both the roads. He has to choose only one. Question 4. Why does the poet look down the road as far as he can see? Let us look at the answer. The answer is to know what lies ahead, because he wasn't aware what is there. So that is why he was looking down the road till the point where he can see. Question 5. Why does the other road have better claim? Let us look at the answer. Why does the other road have better claims? The answer is because it was grassy and wanted wear. It was not used, so that is why it had better claim. This is the last question. What is the impact of the poem, The Road Not Taken? Let us look at the summarized answer. By looking at this answer, you can understand that this is a kind of summary of the poem, and it helps the reader understand why he chose the path he took. The fork at the road represents the speaker's life, and the title, The Road Not Taken, means that not all choices that one comes to are going to be easy, and not all are going to be the right choice. But one has to make them at some point in life. So it generally happens that we have two choices or more choices and we have to choose only one. It is difficult to choose all the options at the same time. So it is not that it is happening for the first time. It happens in our life with all of us. We all have experienced such things in our family, with our friends. There we have to take only one decision and continue our work or move ahead in life. So this is the poem named The Road Not Taken. So this is a kind of summary of this poem. Thank you.